You're listening to the Ottawa Homeboys podcast, your go-to source for Ottawa real estate and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Aboozar Sheikhi, Dan Burton, and Ahmad Hage Hassan.
So, our new episode of Ottawa Homeboys. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm Aboozar, and you got
Dan.
Ahmad here.
good stuff. So, we'll be talking about all the activity in the Ottawa region, what's happening, and just for everyone to get a feel for our market and so on. So, what have you been up to, Dan, this week?
Yeah, it's been an exciting week, bro. I've had residential buyers that I'm working with right now. So I was out with a buyer looking for a nice townhome in Orleans.
Yeah.
First home for their family.
Right.
Looking at brand new stuff that way. And I find the brand new market is pretty good right now. It's pretty buyer friendly, which is nice. Aside from that, helped out Ahmad with the buyer Tuesday night that he can definitely tell you more about.
Okay.
Did some waterfront stuff Wednesday.
Nice. I heard you were on the road for how many hours?
6 hours driving.
That's a record. 6 hours driving, showing multiple waterfront properties. That's just insane. I've never done that, but it's always the first for.
Almost a full day of work. Right?
Hopefully, that's insane. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's good for you, man.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Appreciate that, man.
Good stuff. And Ahmed?
Yeah, so I've been reconnecting with a lot of previous buyers that I've met over the last few months. So it seems like, with the spring market that just passed, homes are coming and going pretty fast for a short period of time.
Yeah.
But we're definitely seeing a bit of a change of pace going into
It is
the
a
summer.
funny market, isn't it? Like, I've been really, so many years in the business, you see up and down, buyer seller markets, but it's just, right now I feel like if the home is priced right, it will go. If not, you're off a bit, then it's just a matter of, buyers, waiting around to see if, it's going to drop even more, and then just the hesitations there. And I guess all the economic movement and everything else with the states and stuff is somewhat impacting as well. So, but
I was looking at some data over the last week or so, and I noticed that a lot of the homes that were selling were, hitting the market for a day or two, and they basically went sold.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you have that gap, right? It's like it's either this, and we're seeing multiple offers too, right? Mm-hmm. So just a bizarre sort of a transitional period, I feel.
It's interesting at the same time, if you look at a lot of the statistics that we look at and we're evaluating what's happening in the market, looking at things like inventory, it's been consistently so high this year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're looking at stuff like 50% higher year over year.
Yeah. Exactly.
Lots of inventory out there. Yeah.
And so I mean, and that's the thing with real estate. I guess different things. There's commercial deals that I find, commercial properties that are more rare. I guess there's a lack of inventory in a sense for certain commercial industrial listings. So whereas they used to sit on the market for a long period of time, now it's like there was one about 3 weeks ago. Property comes on with a 2-acre land in the East End, 2.6 million in 2 days. It went, like, we didn't even have the chance to actually go on site, see the property, call the listing agent, tells me sight unseen that the buyer put in the offer. So I guess they're gonna see it afterwards, but they just put the offer and it got conditionally accepted, and that seems to be the case. So it's really it's interesting sort of events. And so the money's there, it's circulating. It's like where buyers are deciding to whether it's commercial or residential. And you had a commercial deal, I guess, with you're doing.
So it seems like on that note, Aboozar, it seems like there's a lot of mini markets right now.
Yeah.
The bigger major market.
Right.
It'd be interesting to hear your guys' experience with this as well. Like what you're seeing that's a bit more hot, what you're seeing that's a bit more cool. I've been working with a commercial restaurant client of mine.
Right.
We had the idea of whether to build out a space or whether to pick up something that was turnkey. And we found that there's a lot of opportunity in both.
Yeah.
And right now, we're under contract for a restaurant space that we're gonna
Excellent.
work to get everything sorted for him and get him in ideally before the end of summer.
Very neat.
And selling.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and then you like you come across and that's it. I mean, I guess for buyers, it's understandable that the media plays a huge role, right? So you don't know where to look at. The numbers are all over the place, and it's just again, you don't want to say fear mongering, but again, the uncertainty is the aspect that what am I gonna do? Am I gonna buy this now? Is it gonna drop in price a couple of months from now, or the vice versa, right? So that's pretty much mostly what we're seeing, and yeah.
I wonder if it does go back to the inventory point as well too. When you have buyers that have so many choices
It is that.
of what to look at
for
as well,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
You've got the media with what the storyline
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and then even if you're motivated and want to get something right, are you overwhelmed by the amount of choice that's out there?
It is that, and I think it'll take some time for them to go through a pile of properties to be able to get to exactly what what their criteria is to meet that. I met a couple in my open house 2 weeks ago. They come in, they seem motivated. Asked them whether they were pre-qualified. Yes, they were. They had their own realtor. And going through the house, the potential, everything is on the on their must-haves. Most items checked off, and I'm like, okay, so their opinion, feedback.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we'll wait for another year. So then I'm like, now is the opportunity, right? The ideal time is when others don't want to go for it and you go for it. Otherwise, it's fighting for the property, right? Essentially. And then the response was, everybody's telling us to buy, but it's just. Let's just wait and see what happens. And that's the issue, right? Is that when everybody waits and things start turning around, market gets better, heated a bit, everybody wants to buy, and it just escalates, as we saw, previously.
So what do you guys think is going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months here in Ottawa?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we start seeing continued rate cuts, that would be a very good sign for people to start really getting a little more confidence.
Right.
I was talking to a buyer recently, and they mentioned that they didn't like seeing how stagnant the last couple of months have been for the rate cuts. Seems like we had a good start to it, a good start to the year, and bringing down the rate was pretty ideal.
Yeah.
But now, because it's so stagnant, I think people are just a little more hesitant.
It is that, and it's like how much lower will it go? Will I go fixed? And that's where you come, and hopefully we can get more professionals in here. We can get a mortgage specialist in here, a lawyer in here, just to give their insight on things, and that's it. I think that's where the more experienced mortgage professional comes into play and explains the breakdown of everything, right? Whether waiting now. With a perhaps purchasing with a higher percentage will be more worthwhile than you waiting for it to drop another percent or whatever, and potentially paying for a higher amount for your home, right? How much math-wise, right? In that amortization period will you benefit if you wait, and vice versa. So I think that's what it comes down to. I think you need a whole team of realtor, mortgage specialists, lawyers to be able to guide.
Do you think? Sorry. Do you think buyers like the idea of like having a smaller interest rate or a lower purchase price? Like, what do buyers typically look for?
I feel like if you asked me that question about 6 to 8 months ago, based on the interest rates, it would be the other way around. It would be like I need to get the price because I'm paying the higher interest rates, right? But now I think it's reasonable. I don't feel like this is normal. This is how normal should be. So if buyers are hopeful, then it's gonna drop down to that 2%, for your 5-year fix. I don't think we'll see those days ever again. It was just because of COVID and so on. It was just unheard of. So having the inventory now with the reasonable interest rates, I think just ideally now it's like give me more sort of, and it's a human, I guess, sort of response because you want the best, right? But sometimes wanting that best might backfire and not go to your advantage overall if you wait too much, right? Yeah.
It does feel like this is the perfect time.
It is, isn't it?
Considering
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
those points, right?
Yeah.
Considering what we're seeing for interest rates right now
Yeah.
and what we're seeing for purchase price right now. And like you mentioned earlier, if one of those two falls so rapidly and so dramatically, it's likely taking the other one with it in a direction that you also don't want. Yeah, my preference will always be a purchase price that I think is reasonable and tolerable.
Yeah.
And with some contingency for interest rates to go either way. Right?
Yeah.
Though at the same time, who can predict what the Bank of Canada is going to do? The last couple of years have definitely been a roller coaster for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And from 0.25% overnight lending rate all the way up to 5%.
Absolutely. Back down again to what it is now. And you don't know, and that's it too. I think at the end of the day, either you gotta buy or sell, and just the waiting doesn't make sense. The banks are saying it's likely that there won't be another, the drop will not be as expected. So we were, hopeful that maybe another 0.75 by the end of 2025, which may not be the case. So if you're going to play that waiting game, and I'm predicting that because of everything that's happening, we're going to see a huge movement towards the end of 2026, 27. So just because of the demand overall. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it's being pent up a little bit?
I think so. Considering like the number of, if we had, typically like in the past, you would have a buyer's market, seller's market. Not a market like now where, there's a lot of inventory, prices are dropping, homes staying on the market, and then at the same time, we're seeing like multiple bids happening. Like what's happening here? Are there buyers or aren't there any buyers, right? So this back and forth thing so it shows me the demand is there. It's that it's got to be the right home, it's got to be the right price, and now I'm gonna fight for it, right? So when that sort of a demand is happening, it shows me there's a lot of people just waiting and watching and just going at the right one at the right place at the right time. So yeah,
I think that speaks to how important it is, not just in this market but
right.
in any market, to educate your sellers on how to stand out.
Absolutely, for
right?
sure. Absolutely.
I love to hear what some of the things you guys are doing when you're working with sellers. But I know for me right now, with my experience with buyers, it seriously shapes how I communicate with sellers.
For sure.
And in this market right now, you got to do something. And I think right now that most are leading with purchase price or sales price.
Yeah.
Like Ahmad had mentioned, there have been so many that are going quick.
Yeah.
And it's often a situation that you'll dig into further and you'll hear, hey, maybe they've purchased something and would rather a quicker sale than maybe top dollar sale, right?
That's exactly it. It's just that package, that whole package of what do you list it at, and where are you mentally, financially, right? Where do you stand? Because if you list higher, and your listing agent is willing to go that path, there's a price to pay for that, and that's your property sitting on the market. And the first 2 to 3 weeks is essential for a listing, right?
Yeah.
You got to make the move right then. If it doesn't happen, then you have to be ready mentally to deal with it. And if you have, as you said, if you purchased another property and this is pending on you selling your home and you've listed it higher, then so be prepared to go through the stress, the anxiety, and all that. And sometimes it's just not worth it. List it what as it should be, get it sold in 2 to 3 weeks, and then you move on. And I always tell them, especially in this market, is that if you even give a discount on your list price on your home, it's highly likely that you're going to get a discount on the purchasing side because of the available inventory in it. So that mentality. But we're faced with such resistance sometimes with sellers, like, no, you know what, I want to sell high and I want to get a discount on the point I'm getting. So it's like yeah,
You can't have it all, right?
I can't have it all. Yeah, it's human nature. I mean, it's to be expected, but I think that's where we come in and just to try to guide in the right path and to reason in a sense of
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of sellers, when we're dealing with listing and
yeah,
attracting the right buyer, obviously purchase price is a good indication
Yeah.
of how quickly to sell it, because ultimately it will allow certain searches to match buyer profiles.
yeah,
If you're pricing it over asking or over what it's supposed to be, you're missing a pool of buyers.
absolutely.
First of all. Number two, it's how do you showcase your property best?
And that's it too. As you said specifically, exactly that. We're not just focusing on the price only. It's the whole marketing package alongside the list price.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, what can you do in terms of presenting the home?
Absolutely.
So buyers walk in and
That's
they, they can imagine where to put certain things, or, how to lay out their living room space, for example. Painting the home, is it
Absolutely.
any sort of renovations that might make it look nicer, for example, and then obviously staging the home would really help the property stand out.
Yeah. One thing I'm picking up on now, especially with this market, is that take the initiative to even talk to the neighbors. I think that's key, man. Like I'm really, really thinking outside the box in terms of what can we do, because we're seeing some crazy stuff happen. I am, at least, with the neighbors. Sometimes, we have open houses. They have their garage door open, with loud music playing and so on. I mean, it's just sometimes if they're good neighbors, maybe it's the recommendations you can make with because that's the feedback you're getting, is that not necessarily that the neighbor is a bad neighbor, rather it's that instant they had a birthday party or something going on, the buyer doesn't know. They're coming to open houses, they think these are that's the way it is. Or another case, we had like the neighbor, he was on a vacation, and the grass was higher than in the front, right? It was just
Right.
So the buyer's like, oh, with these neighbors, but then it's you got to reach out and explain they're on vacation, or have a conversation with the neighbors saying that, listen, this is what we're doing, and as far as even taking care of the grass even, right? It's just a quick 10 or 15 minutes to do it, make sure the property looks well. So I find even coordinating with neighbors now, it's a huge thing and a key to get everybody,
That's a really cool point,
Yeah.
and really probably something that I think might be maybe not talked about enough.
Yeah.
I think, in situations like that, you're really working in your seller's best interest, and you're really taking every necessary step to really quantify that property.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, like, if I'm working with a buyer, my role as an agent, what I look at is, how can I bring all these things that are intangible
Absolutely.
to tangible, right? Like, knowing what the neighborhood is like is something that I want
The package.
my
right?
clients to understand.
Yeah.
So you, as a listing agent, sound like you're going above and beyond for that. Do you guys have any listings right now you'd want to showcase?
Not me, not currently at the moment. In the next few months, we do have somebody in Barhaven that put a lot of work into our house. Looking forward to
That's going to be a nice one.
seeing how that goes.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
How about you?
I got a listing in Canada, 218 Key Rock Drive. So we're in the slightly over the 900 range. It's a 3-bedroom, and it's a nice home. It's an open concept, and yeah. So
Isn't that one of Ottawa's top suburban
it is,
neighborhoods?
yeah. So it's because of this school system as well. Earl of March, it's like everybody wants to be in that little pocket in the Canada Lakes. So we got that going on. Yeah, and then another unit I have in the Vanier area, low rise, 4-story building. It's in 316 Savard. We're on the second level corner unit, so it's in the 330 mark, which is for a 2-bedroom, full bath, I think, and it's got underground parking as well. So that's yeah. So that's that for now. Yeah. You?
I've got one off market right now. So my client is looking to assign
Okay.
a nice end unit townhome.
Okay.
Closing will be Jan 2026.
So before you get out of Dan, explain assignment for us, because I'm sure a lot of people are like,
Yeah. So what the situation with assignments is, with a brand new construction
Right.
home,
Yeah.
there's quite a long closing period
right,
from the time that you sign for the home, fulfill your conditions, and actually have the home delivered to you on your closing date.
correct,
Could be anywhere from 9 months up to 2 years, like we've seen in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Typically that 9 month to 1 year mark. So in this case, right now with this home, it's under construction, and we're looking for a new prospective buyer that would like the home
okay,
to sign for it and take it over and essentially be the first owners and occupants, which is a great opportunity.
I see. And what is the builder allowing this to happen? Is it to the builder's discretion? Will some builders not allow assignments?
It's a good question,
Yeah.
Aboozar. It's always something that you can look for if you are considering a brand new home.
Yeah.
You gotta be really careful with the builder's contracts,
Right.
because they are quite lengthy, and it might be nice to think you want to skim through it.
Yeah.
Keeping an eye out for a few clauses, one of them being the assignability of it.
The assignment clause.
Exactly. Is something that you want to look into. So in this case, no problem. Builder is Kai Van.
Okay.
We're looking at getting it assigned with the builder's consent. They will be obviously signing off on it.
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity. It's freehold, mid 500s, end unit, 3 bedrooms, finished basement. You name it, it's got it, and it's right within Orleans. So it's about a minute from Innis Road and Maryborough.
Nice spot.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, it's. I mean, that's it too. With some of these, I guess it also goes back to affordability, and builders are getting innovative with the style of construction. It's really interesting to see what they're doing, and yeah. I mean, some buyers is just they think they can afford a certain price bracket, but after getting into the mortgage phase, break it down, the pre-approval comes out and it's just not what they thought at all. So then what's the option? To rent or to look for alternatives? And these are perfect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get into the below 600 range, anywhere between 550 maybe to 6, that would be ideal. You can really, now is the time to get your hands on.
You could do something in that range.
Yeah, these are great options.
Brand
for sure.
new,
Yeah.
freehold, that range.
Yeah.
It's fair game right now.
Cool.
Have you seen some of the detached 3-story stuff the builders are coming out with?
No, talk to me. No.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, I believe it'd be a new product for Ottawa.
Detached 3 stories.
Detached 3 stories.
So we have no basement, or we have
So
a
you
basement?
have a basement.
It's 4 floors altogether, including the basement. So, well,
Yeah, it's basically garage as you enter,
okay.
and you might step down a few
So that's
steps
what
to
I'm,
get to the
okay,
basement.
Okay.
But what might be nice is that it works in areas that are currently being developed. Like Kai Van's Ridge is a really common example of
Yeah.
this. The land moves a lot in that area, the
Okay.
slope of the land.
Yeah.
So building something where it's essentially a walkout basement, and then you could go up, and all
So
3
you don't have to
levels
dig
are
too much with the
basically above
foundation,
grade.
right? Yeah.
It gives you, as the next occupant too, a lot of things that people are looking for, right? Like, I've personally grown up in a home with a walkout basement, loved it.
Very attractive
Yeah.
feature.
Yeah.
And
it's
it's
a
just
nice
getting
feature.
the square footage, right? I mean,
Yeah.
more square footage for the lot size. I think that's key, right? And then that's it with these cars. So the land not being there, essentially, just trying to optimize the most out of what they can and what they have. I guess that's
Like you said, it's
yeah.
it seems like builders are being innovative
Yeah.
in Ottawa's market right now.
Yeah.
I think that's one good example of it. I'd love to hear more if you guys have any in the top.
I mean,
of
I'm
your
seeing
mind.
more secondary dwelling units
Nice.
on new builds, especially in Westport around
Nice.
there. So that's becoming. I think it was at some point it was a Toronto thing. You wouldn't see such a thing in Ottawa. But again, it goes back to affordability. Most in Toronto that was the case. You get into the couple of million range. The mortgage is so heavy. You have to create a secondary dwelling in your basement.
Yeah.
There's no other option with the new construction. And now it's similar to what we're getting to that price range, and now it's happening. So now we're seeing new builds, the families building, and it's them on the second and the main level and then having a secondary dwelling, or either it could be a rental or an Airbnb.
Yeah.
From the walk out to the back or the side entrance of the home. So that's really interesting, and that's it. The coach housing thing that didn't take off awkwardly in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Have you guys had any experience with the coach housing?
Don't see too many of those, and I mean, I think the land space that
you have to have that
try,
allocation of space to structure for sure.
It's interesting. The ones that I have seen, I applaud the people for doing that with the land. If it's a third unit, even better. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you've got the exact setup that you described.
Yeah.
Owner occupancy
for sure.
on
and then you have it the
main and upper.
Yeah, it's insane.
Second, and then the back, the coach houses that I've seen, you've got a standalone, detached home of your own.
Yeah.
Most of them are coming up as 2 bedrooms from the ones that I've seen, which is nice, right? I find 2-bedroom rental is just so versatile. You're gonna get solo occupants, professional couples,
for sure,
small families, right? So you got a really great tenant.
That's healthy rental around, say, for that.
And then I'm seeing some of them, like there's one in the Glebe that was rented for like $2,300 a month.
Yeah.
Right? So hand in hand with that, with your lower unit.
Oh yeah. So that's a good.
You're bringing in quite a bit,
income,
right?
It's a sacrifice, always a sacrifice, right? Like to not use your personal property per se, but
Right.
I mean to offset that mortgage. It's
Curious to know how that affects mortgage. Like is there a new kind of guideline for mortgage agents when it comes to those coach houses and the secondary dwelling units? Like,
well, I know if, for example, you already own the home and this bill came out and it really caught your attention, there's lending that you can get that goes up to pretty significant value of your home. From what I've heard, it might be about 85% that you could take out and then put into the development. So you're essentially playing with your own equity to build out 1 or 2 units and then have them bring that same amount. Ideally, your payments on the equity, right?
And I think that the market, the escalation of the prices and everything else has a huge impact on these alternative solutions as well, right? We were going in that path, and then things start shaking up with the interest rates, and then and another couple of incidents where I saw in the news, there were like shady contractors where it would take months and months, and then you just left the job, the site, and it's just a negative media sort of response in Ottawa with this sort of. So one thing would be the demand. If the prices hence go up, I think that younger couples, families, they want to get into certain neighborhoods they cannot afford anymore, and this is a perfect opportunity, right? To get in there, and at the same time, I think the construction industry needs to be on par with the expectations per se, and then modular homes, I'm seeing they're coming.
Yeah.
So modular homes are another thing that
can you go over what those are?
So basically, you pretty much it's a prefab. So they make the parts into a factory. The design is limited, but it's more affordable than a new construction. The typical construction you would do wood framing and with the concrete foundation. So so basically everything is assembled, brought on site, and assembled, and
they basically come in pieces, right?
That's correct. It's like a puzzle piece, and you put them together.
Are you seeing any specific areas of Ottawa where there's more of this development?
I'm seeing that, for example, in Old Ottawa East, there's a burnt out semi-detached the lot that's happening. So there's the Toronto companies that come in that this is going to happen. So that's I feel like that's the essentially the evolution of housing, where again the affordability plays a part in this as well, and the quickness. Right now we're just the headache of, we're seeing like additions now taking up to, the larger additions to your current home up to 2 years to complete. This is insane. Wow. Like you can really press on a new construction to finish it in under a year, whereas there's no reason for an addition to take 2 years, right? So again, I think those things will help essentially with the, you're limited on the design. I'm not going to reiterate on that. If you're really into that open concept, I need to get what I want sort of a thing, you got to be able to wait, right? And the cost might be higher, but yeah, it's really interesting.
Are you
It's really-
also seeing that it's a nice option for a little bit more density? Like, for example, that burnt down lot, semi-detached.
Oh, for sure.
Right, like how many units do you think you could get in
I mean-
the same footprint that a semi would go on?
I mean, you can the unit wise. I mean, the two units, right? It's more for. I think. Are you, gearing towards more investment purpose, or are you
Not necessarily
personal?
investment purpose, but yeah, personal.
Yeah. So I mean, essentially, I think it will be, a typical 3 bedroom,
Right.
2 or 3 full baths sort of a thing. Now, again, the basement is another thing that, whether they want to have a basement or not, that's another thing, square footage added. But I think mostly it's the cost and convenience hand in hand. So
Funny enough that you bring this up, with the waterfront showings that I did this week,
Yeah.
one of them was actually a modular home.
oh wow, okay. There you
And
go.
they've done it so well with the poured concrete foundation,
Yeah.
a full height, partially finished
Yeah.
basement, and then the upper with the modular finishes had cathedral ceiling, open concept layout,
There you go.
and from the inside you could really barely tell that it
There
looked
you
like a
go.
modular home.
That's
Wow.
yeah. That's
So-
it's just really yeah. They're. I mean that's I wouldn't say like that's the future, but it's a nice option.
Mhm.
Considering now, it's always a challenge with the local activity too, because bigger cities tend to be more driven in that path.
Mhm.
So it'll take some time, I feel, for Ottawa, businesses to catch up or builders to catch up, because it's a huge risk, right? You're getting into unknown territory, and you gotta get out of your comfort zone to get to where you want. But I think essentially.
So, it's nice to, I guess it's nice to have new builders in the space on that topic,
For sure.
because everything that we're talking about here immediately makes me think of Kaivan,
Uh,
because Kaivan is notorious for how quickly they can get a home up,
right.
right? So with their process, it's not a modular home, it's a typical wood framed
Right.
home, but they build everything off site and they deliver it to the site. So it's built in a factory, delivered, and then installed on site. And for a PDI that I went through recently with a
Right.
client,
Right.
we spoke with Kaivan's project manager, right?
Yeah.
And a typical timeline from foundation to be poured to framing up to having the envelope completed, Kaivan it's 3 weeks. With most builders, it's 3+ months.
Oh wow,
Right.
That's amazing. Expand on PDI, man. Not everybody knows what PDI means. You gotta.
So when you're buying a brand new home,
Yeah.
if you've picked your lot, signed for the floor plan, purchase price, finishes that you want, have gone through that same period that we spoke about earlier,
Right.
where it's that 9-ish to 12-ish months to finish the home. The builder has been working hard in the background. When the home is complete, they're going to give you a chance to actually walk through it
Right.
with somebody from their staff.
Right.
He's great about explaining every little feature of the home, right? You get 2-3 hours of his time. You're going to want to ask him everything like, what's that do? Right? What does that do?
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's also nice because Kaivan in particular with this one had little green bits of drywall tape up on each and
Oh
every
wow, so
building.
they did it themselves.
They did
That's
it
very good.
themselves.
That's impressive.
You
That's
can
really
keep an eye on it as well too,
Yeah, yeah.
and see if there's any that they haven't
Yeah.
marked. But I found they were good about even a little, nick
Yeah.
in the drywall. There's something there.
Yeah.
They're going to want to take a look through that again before it's officially delivered to you.
So excellent.
That's the
And that's it too. So the pre-delivery inspection, and that's it. I mean, I know you've done it. I do it as well. I'm sure Ahmad as well.
Yeah.
It's nice to have your realtor being there, right?
Yeah.
I'm always on site,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't matter. I mean, I think we have the eye.
Having the
You know,
second set of
we
eyes,
have the
exactly.
eye, right? And we see things that buyers might, they're excited. It's their new home. It's not some stuff. But again, it is what it is. We have to point it out because that's the time they have for them to fix it, right?
Now, do you recommend a buyer does an inspection of their own? As
Some
well?
builders will not allow it.
Mhm.
So it really goes back to the builder's discretion. I don't want to name builders. I mean, if we're giving compliments, that's fine. But some builders, they will not allow it. And it was the case that, for example, just to give you an example, last year we had a PDI where, which you wouldn't think would happen. It's a really good builder as well. The basement drainage, the concrete was not flush with the drain, so you had a little lip coming up from the hole there. So any sort of a leak in the basement would just sit flat on the surface. I mean, the angles probably were there, the slight tilt towards the drain, but when you have a lip there, it's just gonna sit there. So, and it was just tucked in right very close to the furnace unit, where it was hard to pick up. So that's one thing. I'm like what's this? And they had to. I'm sure they had to just chisel that out or redo. But that's a good builder doing it. But so yeah, it's great to be there on site. I feel for your clients. From the start to the very end with the PDI and that.
Yeah.
Onwards. Cool. Awesome. So you guys, you want to wrap this up? For this, yeah, it was nice, and yeah, we'll try to do this more often with more guests. And yeah, until the next episode.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
Likewise. Enjoy your day.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
See you, man.